talk about this game. I mean, this is two 4-1 teams within the conference. Probably the winner of this game is going to have the upper hand in terms of winning the West.
It's a huge game for our program. The winner of this game, like you said, is going to control their own destiny. Really, both teams control their own destiny. Tulsa is playing really well, doing a lot of good things right now. It's going to be a really tough game for us. Coach Montgomery's done a really good job. They've bought into his system, playing, should have beat Houston, So they're a really good football team, and we're going to have our hands full.
Brian Norwood, having coached here during the triple option era, is there anything he can give their defensive staff in terms of insight? I know you've changed a lot since Brian Norwood coached at Navy.
I've brainwashed him to make sure so every time I see him, I put him in a trance. So
you don't remember anything.
You don't remember anything. Yeah, obviously, Wags. He, was here many years with us before. Knows the offense. There's been some changes, but there's still a lot of things that we do similar. And he has great insight to the things that we like to do.
Somebody was asking me about, how much credit does Ivan Jasper get for what Will Worth's doing? I said quite a lot. This guy can take any quarterback of any shape, size, style, or ability and get them to execute this offense. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's not just Will. He's been doing this his whole career here. He's won with, so many different quarterbacks, along the years, and, we thought we had a really, really good one in Kaipo, and then, how does that follow up? And eventually we get Ricky, and man, we'll never replace Ricky. He's the greatest quarterback ever. Then here comes Keenan.
Right.
Obviously all the things that Keenan did, and, we're expecting Tongo, but then Will comes in. I was just watching tape of Tulsa last year, and I happened to pause it just to go do something. I came back and looking at the tape, it was Tongo and Will on the sideline with their hats, their signals.
Caps, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I was like, who would have thought Will would be doing what he's doing now? There he is last year, signaling.
Right.
But, credit goes to both of them. Obviously to Will, he's getting it done, but Coach Jasper is a phenomenal coach.
Back to the American Athletic Conference. You talked a little bit about the West. It does seem like this is a very tough division this year. I think, obviously, Houston and Memphis, you know how good they are. Tulsa, you now tied with them. SMU beats Houston, so clearly they're improved. I'm guessing that the team that comes out of the West will be battle-tested.
We played a team from the East, too. One of the teams from the East beat the crap out of us, so the East is pretty good, too, So, it's a good overall conference, And, it's, we're not even looking that far along the way. Everything would take care of itself if you win this game,
right,
and then you win the next one. But, you got to take one game at a time. But, regardless of who comes out of the West, whoever comes out of the East is going to be a really good team, too.
Right. 2 years in the league and 2 years you're in contention for the championship. There's been no adjustment period, no acclimation. Are you, I don't want to say surprised, but or pleased? What would be the term for you to be in contention 2 years in 2 years?
I think pleased is a good word. We didn't win it last year. To be back in contention again is, feels good. And our guys are excited about the opportunity, but, hopefully we can seize this opportunity. But it's going to be tough. Mm-hmm. This is going to be a really tough team. We're excited to be home. Senior day, it's supposed to be a good crowd, and we'll see what happens.
Loie Gilman has half of his family from Hawaii here. You going to say hello out to these folks?
Yeah, I already
give them a greeting?
Yeah, I talked to them already. This is his dad, Asai. Known for many years.
They're from your hometown, are they not?
Yeah, but especially the mom. I grew up with the mom.
Okay.
His mother, Keao.
Did that help with recruiting?
Huh?
Did that help with recruiting him?
Being from my hometown definitely helps. I hope, but he's a good kid, great family. His parents, like I said, Asai, Keao, are good, really good people. But, I grew up with their family. Mm-hmm. And fortunately he almost went to Air Force, and he's a really good player.
The injuries, do you think you'll get Elijah back this week?
Probably questionable.
Right,
Wait,
okay.
No, that's doubtful.
Doubtful, okay. And then I saw Chris High, looks like he's a little...
doubtful, too.
Doubtful. Well, that happened, again, obviously, in Notre Dame because he started that game.
Yeah.
Last but not least, I'm writing a little story about Trey Thompson. He's a senior who's had an interesting story. He's here back serving as a scout team. What can you say about that kid?
Again, another guy that's who we are. I mean, who wants to come back and be a scout team quarterback? Embrace it, open arms, working really hard. The kids love him. I mean, he's one of the leaders on our team. Just a great, great kid. And just happy for him. You know, obviously I know he would like to have played, but to come out here with a smile every day, he's got a great disposition by himself. He's a great young man.
What, the scout team players, I mean, I don't know that people outside realize how important it is for them to do their job, and you need some veterans. You got Julian Turner, Jalen Wade, Jeremiah Robbins, or other seniors that are on that group, and you need those guys to lead the younger ones, don't you?
I really believe the scout team is one of our keys to success. Not everybody has the numbers that we have, and we have quality numbers. And so to be able to have where we can practice separately, the defense can work on Tulsa's offense, the offense can work on Tulsa's defense. We don't have to interact, and we can get a ton of reps. We got 2 huddles going on against the defense, so we can mimic up-tempo teams. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's so many benefits to it. When we go individual periods, everybody has, their group of guys that can work with them. There's some teams that don't have that luxury. They have to go against themselves all practice because they don't have the numbers.
Right. All right. Thank you, Coach. I'm doing a little story about Trey Thompson. Mm-hmm. And, I know he had a tough situation. He got cut in the spring, right. And then you asked him to come back when your numbers were a little thin. I mean, number one, you've worked with this kid, gotten to know him. I understand that he's one of the nicest kids around. What can you say about Troy?
He's just a great kid. Every guy has a dream of going to college and playing football. High recruited kid for us, and just didn't work out. And obviously he was a guy that we wanted to make some room. So we, told him we needed him to do some other things for us, and he did it with no problem. And then we had some troubles in the fall, numbers-wise. We had some guys hurt, asked him to come back, and he came back with no problem. So just a great kid. He was a great kid, great American. He's upset now about the election and all that kind of stuff, But again, just a great person overall. Honestly, the kind of guy you want your daughter to bring home, so.
Is it good to have a senior who can be on the scout team at the quarterback position? Because you got to get a look, and a veteran guy like that made as opposed to like a freshman quarterback. Yes. Just having somebody who's been around and kind of knows some things.
The biggest role with that is the kid who's been around that knows our culture, how important it is to win, how to give the best look. So he basically runs the scout team down there. Mm-hmm. So he's basically the team captain down there. He understands what needs to be done. Gets the freshman there. Let them know that, guy, this is important. It's not a time we come out here and jack around. We got to come out. This is serious business. Scout team is more than a scout team. So having seen down there definitely makes the scout team a lot better for us.
Right. With regards to the offense, you're in a nice little groove here. Yes. Pretty much since Air Force. Mm-hmm. Anything in particular after Air Force that you think has allowed things to start clicking?
Well, again, the Air Force game. Like I said, we had a bad plan, and I take full responsibility for that. But just playing well, taking care of the football, But me, my man. I mean, it's a week to week. We played great last week. Now we got to do it again this week. Now everybody's great play caller. Ivan's doing a great job. We don't win, I'll be back in the doghouse. So I don't get too high or too low with it. Just try to stay even keeled. I know that my job every week is to get us prepared to play, but we're playing well. And the biggest thing about it is we're taking care of the football. That's probably the most important part of it.
And it seems just from an untrained eye that teams have been focusing a lot on the fullback. It's been tough sledding on the fullback dive, but obviously Will has had a lot of room. I'm wondering if teams are maybe challenging him to beat them, thinking he's not so fast or whatever, they can run him down. When do you think they'll decide after he's rushed for 201 yards, he's rushed for 175 yards? When do you think they'll realize that?
Really can't say. It's all about, and how people perceive our offense and what we're doing well. Look at our numbers and our stats. Definitely, he has a lot more carries than everybody else. So he is carrying the football a lot. And we guys manufacture ways to get him the football. And again, surprisingly, he's been a great ball carrier for us. But at the same time, we'll always win every single game, planning on getting the ball to the fullback like we always do, get him started. And if we can't, we got to find other ways. And we've been able to do that, which is the most important part.
All right, thank you, Ivan.
Okay, man.
First and foremost, you played Houston, Memphis, South Florida. Who do they resemble the most?
Probably South Florida.
Because of the running ability?
Yeah, they have a little bit of everybody, but more like South Florida. Yeah, their two backs are really, really special. I mean, both going to be over 1,000 yards. So good old line, tough, hard-nosed guys, block really well. Receivers can run. real strong arm quarterback. He's not as big a run threat as the other ones we've seen, but he can still run. He can hurt you with his feet if you don't keep him contained, but I think he'd rather wing it. So good offense.
Obviously, the biggest thing you notice with them is the balance. They're almost 50-50 run pass in terms of yardage. That's got to be a concern.
Yeah, that's always hard when they run and pass. You know, if you can't get them into long yards where you can kind of guess that they're going to pass, but they'll run on some of those too. I mean, they'll run the power on 3rd and 10. So we just have to adjust and get our eyes right. And, I mean, they force you to do that anyway. You've got a group that's got to play the run. You've got a group that's got to play the pass, and a couple of guys that are trying to do both. I mean, that's what they force you to do.
Can they do, I mean, what are they doing to achieve so much rushing yardage? As you mentioned, they're almost at 2,000 total. Is it similar to what South Florida did, where they force you to empty the box and there's no one there?
Pretty much, yeah. It's the same thing. They try to get guys out. If you put too many guys out on the pass, they're going to hurt you with the run. You put too many guys in the run, they're going to throw it out on the pass. So that's what I'm saying. You've got somebody that's trying to play both, and you've got a group that's playing this and a group that's playing that, basically. And they're very efficient. They're well coached. Like I said, their O-line is super. I mean, they pick up blitzes. They pick up, and I'm talking about rundowns. People have tried to blitz them. People have tried to play straight, and they block everybody. They're a well-coached, really efficient offense.
Anything that you learned against South Florida that maybe you can apply to this? Some lessons?
Yeah, there's a ton of things. Yeah, I don't want to tell you, but, but there's a ton of things.
But you learned some lessons in the USF.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Right. Okay, thanks, Dick.
Right.
You come to the Naval Academy, and the goal is to become the starting quarterback, run that triple option, be Keenan Reynolds. It didn't work out for you. Kind of tell me, has your career evolved, how you're at this point?
You come, everybody wants to be that guy, and you work hard. You come to the off-season workouts, you do your extra workouts, all that, and you come with the mentality to be that guy. And over time, you sort of realize that it's not going to happen, and you mold yourself into a different role. Everybody finds that role. Some people don't, and I found that role myself. Guys like Jalen Wade, Julian Turner, and through that role, scout team. We call ourselves the Raiders now. It's definitely been a process, but this year definitely it's been one of the best years in terms of actually taking ownership of that preparation, taking ownership of that role, and embracing it. So getting into that role, it's one of those things it was a hard pill to swallow. I'm not going to be that guy. But it's something that, myself and the rest of the guys, we take pride in it now. So,
I know Coach Jasper was a very honest guy, so is Coach Niumatalolo. Was there some point where they kind of said to you, Troy, it's just probably not going to happen here for you?
It was probably sophomore year, second semester, after spring ball. Yeah, after spring ball. It was like, they were like, it's pretty clear, Tago and Will are going to be our guys. There was a moment in junior year after spring ball, after fall ball, but I actually got to get some reps and did pretty well. And I traveled with the team, et cetera, and it was like, okay, I'm here, I'm good.
You're on the upward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, everything doesn't work out. I had a couple of slight injuries. I ended up just being a signaler. And, from there on, you try and find a role where you can be a leader on the team. And I found that role in scout. Yeah.
So, am I understand correct that after last spring, you were cut?
Yep. I was done playing.
You were off the team.
I was done playing. I was going to accept my role as a student coach. Be a leader, be a mentor to young guys, and I was done playing.
Right. So how did it occur that you were back in uniform?
So it was really interesting. Came back from leave. Was going to be a student coach. Came back for camp. And coach asked me, I guess we had a couple of injuries with the freshman quarterbacks.
A young quarterback like Lanusa and some other kids maybe got banged up.
And he said that they needed somebody to come help out in the scout field. And at first I was thinking about it, I was like, do I want to do it? And I was like, you know what? It's just another role. So there was a very steep, bar to get back into shape, to get back into that mentality of I'm a player again. That was probably the biggest transition I've had here, just to snap it on that quick.
Right, after you'd already kind of said it.
I'm done.
Right.
I can be fat. I can drink.
Right.
So that was a tough transition, but I'm proud that I did it, and it was definitely worth it.
Well, and talk about the importance of bringing some leadership to that unit. You mentioned Julian Turner, Jalen Wade, Jeremiah Robbins. These are seniors, and you got to guide these younger guys because they may not understand how important scout team is and be moping about because they're not with the regular unit. you got to tell them how important it is for them to give the starters a look, or else you're not going to win football games.
Exactly. And even further than that, scout team, a lot of the guys have come through scout team, and that's where our culture is defined. That hard nose, I'm going to push through, I'm going to fight through, I'm going to get through the struggle. So, you have a bunch of guys. Josiah Powell, Coach always talks about how he never thought he was going to play, and he went through scout team, he did his deeds, and now look at him, he's playing ball. So the scout team isn't just, for the scrubs, for guys like me, for guys like, Jalen, Julian, we're there as leadership to show them the culture, to show them the ropes of Navy football and teach them what it is to be a Navy football midshipman so that we can continue to have that, longevity of success.
You mentioned Raiders. Where did that come from?
So it was actually the first week of preparation. Colgate played the Raiders, and it was like the idea of taking on that role, and it just stuck. We called ourselves the Red Beanie Raiders because during practice, we have
the Red Beanies.
The Red Beanies. So we call ourselves the Red Beanie Raiders, and we get after it every day. Every time we take the field, we storm the field, and Bernie, Kikau, they've done a great job, being the leaders for us, and then myself, Jalen, Julian, we've all taken on that role. So it's been awesome.
All right, thanks. Real quick, I'm going to do